Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRNradio.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
Thanks, JJ.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Along with all the other technical issues we've had at the network today, realizing you loaded the outro instead of the intro. Anyway, we're here. We're live. Welcome to the Weekend News Roundup. Now that the internet's not broken again anymore, we're going to try this. Although our techno-Luddite's still in the corner. Anyway, so hope everybody's having a great Friday. And speaking of in the corner, I've done everybody a favor and my face is blocked by the logo again. You're welcome.
If you could move a little bit to your right, that'd be great.
Yeah. Well, wait, my right or your right?
My left, your right.
The other right.
Oh no, because if I move to my, well, I guess never mind.
No, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah. I keep forgetting the camera angles are backwards because I was like, wait, if I move to the right, you'll see my face, but no, I guess not. Anyway, so since he opened his mouth first, the Boston Bastards is in the house. How you doing today, Sean? How's things?
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, folks. It's going well. You know, it's just another exciting day in the news world, which has just really been boring the last, 13 months or so. But hopefully something kicks up soon and we have something we can really talk about.
I'm going to fucking throw something at you in a minute.
He just jinxed us all.
You realize most of us actually work in this industry, and you just threw a bunch of gasoline onto a fire that already existed.
Yes, I know.
Rick, wouldn't be hard. All you'd have to do is drop a shoe down below. Gravity would take effect.
Yeah.
Oh, and next up, because we'll just go in this order, we'll talk to the guy who's got himself in the corner today because his camera doesn't like my setup. How you doing, BZ? How's things?
Baby got shoved in the corner. How's that? Hey, Amy, again, thanks for being on last night. And thanks for having me on, Rick. I greatly appreciate it. And Sean, meh.
I am glad, BZ, though, you worded that very specifically. It wasn't like just thanks for last night. It was thanks for being on the show last night. So very good for you for thinking out loud.
Thank you.
And Amy, how are you? How are things?
They're going well. It finally stopped snowing. After the show, I finally get to go have my lab work done so I can eat. So it's going to be an awesome Friday afternoon.
You poor thing.
Oh god,
Yeah.
it's miserable. I'm going crazy. That's why I've got my giant Jaws commemorative cup full of water because it's the only thing keeping me from homicide right now.
Yeah, if Brad had managed to get his computer running, I was actually going to give Hangry Amy the day off because I've never worked with Hangry Amy before, so I can't say that. I don't know why.
Say that 5 times real fast. Go.
No, it's not one of the things that I've practiced. But yes,
We'll
there
wait.
are. So anyway, who asked you? Why do I even have you on here?
I don't know.
Note to self.
Seriously.
But anyway, so yeah, unfortunately there is no shortage of things to talk about. So of course, Minneapolis is still being Minneapolis, and I'm honestly, after I've been saying this every time I've been live lately. This is the one thing that I'm really kind of disappointed with Trump about this term so far, because I really thought he learned his lesson after 2020, because they used the entire summer of love BS to sell the fact that he lost the election, and used it to hide the stolen election thing, which is the real reason why Nancy Pelosi and none of the Democrats did anything about making sure the National Guard were in place at the Capitol and anything else. All it did was reinforce the hatred. So see, this is why they voted him out, because the Republicans are a bunch of hateful assholes that want to just destroy everything.
Let me ask you this question though, Rick.
No.
What was the number one majority reason that people voted for Trump this last time?
You mean other than closing the border?
Immigration. What's in the news every single day that's showing Trump is following through on what he is doing?
Immigration.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's following through on almost everything. It's like I was telling BZ last night. If only he had added a couple of words to the sentence of I'm gonna fix all this stuff on day one. What he should have said was, I'm going to start the process to fix all these things on day one, because that would have been able to shut up every fucking Democrat who by day 3 was like, hey, egg prices aren't any better yet, guys. Is this what you voted for? Dude, it's been 3 days.
Yeah.
I agree with you. And the problem is he made the dangerous choice to assume that people understood what that meant. And that was, I agree that it wasn't said, but it should have been able to be understood very, very simply, that he wasn't going to walk in and wave a magic wand.
Well, and I think it's less that people didn't understand it, as he should know how to play the Democrats' game now. You say X, they're going to either take it literally or figuratively, depending on what serves their narrative.
Yes.
So, but he and I don't wrong, like the guy, voted for the guy twice now. The brain mouth filter doesn't always, work. So the thoughts,
two words. Be Scotty. We
Yeah.
said that last night. Be Scotty.
Well, and I think some of it too, though, is he does run the masterclass of getting the press and the Democrats to chase their own tails and run in circles and look like entire idiots. And I think he does way more on that than people kind of give him credit for.
Yeah, and he does. I mean, he knows how to get them to take the most absurd positions every single time. But I also see this problem snowballing. And if a Republican wins in 2028, and there's a strong possibility a Republican might, it's only going to get worse for the next administration. That behavior, which is rewarded, is repeated. And the second you start throwing some of them in prison and realize there's real world consequences, that's going to change. I don't know if you saw the woman in Jacksonville who decided it was a good idea to get out of her car and punch
I saw your article.
A trooper in the face. Well, there's a follow-up to it that I didn't get a chance to write today, but I will. I asked if somebody had her mugshot. They had her mugshot, and it was if Fuck Around Found Out had a face. Because while she was smiling in that picture where they were arresting her, she was not smiling when she realized she's facing some serious charges. And
we need to see that.
I will find it. It was on my feed. I will send it in the private chat.
Well,
all right.
And I talked about earlier last week in one of my articles that, and you guys mentioned it last night, this is what the Democrats are currently doing.
Sorry. Keep talking.
That's all right.
I'm trying to get something queued up because
what the Democrats are doing is a recycle of the BLM anti-cop rhetoric. It isn't anything new. It's not even shocking to me that their followers fall for it every time. They paint a straw man, they turn it into the evil, they rally around that, they prey on the emotionally weak, and then when they're all riled up, they turn around and say, okay, well, if you want to fix this, vote us into office. And it's the same exact thing. It's just the constant gaslighting, which is a good time for you to probably push a book.
Yeah, I wrote a book titled Gaslight. So
Hey,
it's on
no,
Amazon.
you did?
I did, absolutely. Yep. We can talk more about that in a little bit. But yeah, check it out on Amazon. Gaslight, Amy Curtis. It'll pop right up.
Gosh, that's so weird. And what's if you look at the societal breakdown, it all started with communist hippies in the 60s who became teachers and professors who then eventually began to run academia. And now we're seeing the second and third generation of them who are just spreading this whole communism and socialism is great. Big government's awesome, except for when big government's doing what it's supposed to do, which is get rid of the people that don't belong. And then they're the devil. Rinse and repeat.
Yep. Yeah. And part of that is on conservatives because I can remember as long as I've been politically active, every issue, the arts, education, social issues. Oh, that's not the hill we want to die on. Let's move on to this other thing. Well, eventually you're going to either have to fight that fight and die on that hill, or you're going to get what you've got now. And politics is downstream of culture, and education and higher education, academia. That's all part of culture, and politics is downstream of all of that.
Well, and part of the issue that, and I agree with you, conservatives have absolutely are at fault for a lot of this, because what you and I saw for years was them just giving into the Democrats and getting along to get along on every single thing until it was.
Isn't that just so perfect?
That's
so perfect.
classic.
She's pretty. Until it was time to push back. And then because they were so dormant for so long that as soon as it was pushed back, it was, oh, they're insurrectionists. They want to destroy the country and blah, 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 blah. And they actually got, the Democrats did this and the Republicans helped by not doing anything. They actually have sections of this country who want to totally destroy this country while hiding behind the constitutional rights that this country provides them. It's mind-boggling. It's amazing. It is the biggest bait and switch that I've ever seen.
And CNN is pushing this poll today. If you guys saw the CNN poll that just came out, they're saying that the majority of Americans say Trump is focused on everything wrong. Majority, 58% calls the first year of Trump's term a failure. Do you believe that?
No.
I don't.
No. Who'd they poll? The CNN newsroom?
It says SSRS, whatever the hell that is.
It sounds like a psych med you take for cluster B.
Yes.
But
I got better though.
I don't know what that is. But before we go too much further, I don't play clips that often, but any chance I have to drag Tarlov, I take. Here we go.
Create the environment, and then you complain about the consequences. When you kick over a beehive, don't complain when the bees come after you. When you poke a bear, don't say, I can't believe the bear's chasing me.
You have a right to stand there and yell at
That's not what we were talking about. We're talking about you guys are deliberately creating an environment so that there is chaos. And when there is chaos, you go, oh my God, someone gets hurt. What do you expect in chaos?
They're trying to create chaos?
Yes.
What they're the ICE officers.
These organizations desire chaos.
Going in and
how naive are you?
And it wouldn't be you wouldn't have this chaos.
All right, so to bring everybody up to speed, this was actually in response to her basically defending all the idiots that are getting up in ISIS faces and screaming and yelling at them. Because
whenever she's on the 5, I won't watch. When Harold Ford is on, I'll watch.
So normally what I'll do is I'll mute when she talks because one of the guys
Fran Drescher on steroids.
Well, one of the guys
scratching nails across a chalkboard.
One of the guys I produce a podcast for gets to play on the Gutfeld late night show all the time. So anytime Gutfeld's on anything, I try to support it because that helps me make money too. So, but yeah, so normally I'll mute her. Now I will say Harold Ford, I think he was either yesterday or the day before. And even he got on my nerves a little bit yesterday because even he's starting to get into this. Well, they shouldn't be there. They shouldn't be doing this. What I find the most interesting is these same people that are screaming and yelling because we have Gestapo now because we have people pretending to be police officers who are asking for papers. You have people in Minneapolis right now that are pulling people out of their cars and saying, "Are you an ICE agent?"
I wrote about that. I wrote about they pulled over a guy who rented a Subaru. He's a photographer. They made him open the hatch to prove he wasn't a part of DHS.
Yes.
And honestly, he was far more patient with them than I would have been, because my response would have been, and I would have drove off.
100%.
Like, you don't get to tell me. And then
that's called a checkpoint.
Right. And I thought those were bad things. I thought stopping cars indiscriminately were bad things. I thought checking borders and having any sort of rules of who comes and goes in an area was a bad thing, because it's all stolen land. Suddenly now it's not stolen land. And then that lady who's like, you should have thought about getting a different car.
Yeah.
And he even said to her, are you going to pay for it? She goes, no. Well, there you go. Then bye.
Like, first thing is, I thought Subaru was a protected class of vehicle.
Did I say Subaru? I meant Suburban.
It's a Suburban.
I meant Suburban.
You said Subaru, so I was really confused for a second. I was like,
it
wait
was
a minute.
Suburban, like the ice vehicle.
So
The lesbians would have loved him if it was a Subaru.
They wouldn't even have looked twice at him.
Right. He could have, seriously. Oh, so there you go. I should drive a Subaru. They're not even going to look at you again.
But it's the policies. It's the policies of these people that have driven them insane. It's like the policies of the left resulting in wildfires, scorching the entire fucking United States and most of California. And then they step back, cross their arms and go, that smoke is bad. How'd it get there? Comma, you assholes.
Well, the funniest thing about the whole, so since we brought this up, the funniest thing about the whole, the government of California blaming climate change for all the fires, if it's climate change's fault, how do they never get past the Canadian border?
Right.
You ever notice that?
Climate change is smart, just like COVID. Won't affect you if you're sitting down and eating. The second you walk through the restaurant, the COVID will get you.
Yeah.
Dude, was that the only one that was just looking at that going, did they really? And the problem, so I'm sitting here thinking, when they're saying, well, yeah, you have to have your mask on when you get up, but you can have your mask off when you're sitting down. And I'm like, so COVID has a height requirement? What?
COVID's only attack at a certain level. Everybody knew that.
You brought up Canadian wildfires, and I think the last significant Canadian wildfire is when they tried to put on a demonstration that got out of control.
Yeah, which was like
they did a backfire and they couldn't control it, and then it went nuts.
And that was impacted here. I'm in southeast Wisconsin, and our skies were hazy and orange. You could sometimes, depending on the way the wind was blowing, smell the smoke. Good work, guys. I mean, Canada is useless. Absolutely useless.
All right, we have Kevin hanging out in the chat.
Hi, Kevin.
Hi, Kevin.
I don't know if he was trying to say good work, we have Amy, or good Lord, it's Amy, but either way, it looks like it's a typo. I'm not sure which one.
That's right. Good word, it's Amy.
Good word.
That works.
My word.
My
good morning, it's Amy. Who knows?
Right, exactly.
But yeah, so I mean, so BZ and I talked about this one a little bit last night, and I still think it's hilarious that for the first time in a decade, a Canadian prime minister went to China and started talking about the new world order within like 5 minutes of being there. I feel this is in the best possible position for the new world order. But then, and I wish I could find the clip. I didn't have a chance. I was going to try to bookmark it again today, but I didn't have a chance to go find it because of how weird X was being earlier. But yeah, it was weird because BZ and I were like cracking up for like 5 minutes because, dude, I'm starting to think that they teach this in like Canadian broadcasting school or something, because he had Captain Kirk speech times 5.
Yeah,
I have it if you want me to share it.
Yeah, I just put it in the chat too. I found one of it. So
look at you guys. I'll being professional and stuff. What the heck?
I wrote an article about it yesterday, and I inserted that into my article, so I knew where to find it.
I mean, Canadians voted for him because they wanted to stick it to Trump. Wondering if they're going to start realizing, sticking it to Trump may not be the best electoral strategy we could have gone with here.
Well, the thing is, I know a lot of folks that live in Canada that are not real happy with everything that's going on right now. So yeah, that doesn't really surprise me.
Well, I know people in the UK who are not happy with things that are going on. And once again, he delayed some local council elections because they're not going to go his way.
I wrote a piece about Carney getting in when he was first elected, essentially saying this was going to happen because of how he was going to cozy up. And then in the follow-up piece I wrote last night, I'm like, this is exactly what they voted for. Like, this is exactly what you get. Sorry, go ahead, Rick.
No. I just want you guys to hear this because this is like Captain Kirk on an edible.
Mine is the first visit of a Canadian Prime Minister to China in nearly a decade. The world has changed much since that last visit.
Much change.
I believe the progress that we have made in the partnership sets us up well for the new world order.
Spoken like a true villain.
This is like something out of a Marvel movie.
It is horrible. So I will say that because he's in China, Rick, the delay that he's intentionally using is so that the translators can speak to the Chinese delegates that were there.
I've heard plenty of other people that speak with
No. I'm just saying that that's a common thing with stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. I think the guy's a moron. I'm not like defending his ideology, but
what I'm saying is, though, I'm pretty sure some of that pause was baked in Canadian because I've heard Americans with interpreters that talk slower, but not like that.
No, there were some very pregnant pauses in there that
China.
Things were processing a little slow.
Well, and my favorite part is when he said New World Order, you can almost tell that, like, as he started to say it, he realized he shouldn't say it because he just started to trail off at the end. You know, it was like a kid admitting that they just, stole the cookie when they're not. They're like, no, I just had a cookie.
Yeah, whoever thought that Canadians would parrot George Bush?
Yeah.
Oh.
I thought they hated the guy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's only because he had the R behind his name. I mean,
right, exactly.
Or Rob Zombie.
Nice. But yeah, no, it was just because, hearing him say that part out loud makes me understand even more why Donald Trump is pushing so hard for Greenland right now.
Yep.
Because think about it. If we wind up getting Greenland, if necessary, we can now put Canada in a pincer move if we need to shut them the hell up.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I think getting
you
Greenland
guys
is an
heard
imperative.
all the troops they sent. They sent
35.
France sent 15, Germany sent 13, Sweden sent 3, Norway 2, Finland 2, the UK sent 1, and the Netherlands sent 1. And so they absolutely overwhelmed Greenland with military force.
Yes,
Well,
that's
I mean,
Rick, this is unbelievably important for you to let me share my screen right now.
Okay.
Because this just popped up in my feed, and this is from Trump in 2019.
Well, are you going to share it?
I did.
It didn't show up. Hang on, let me check something.
I don't feel so bad now.
Yeah, guess can share.
All right, let me.
So it should be working, and it's not.
I'll
If
reshare.
nothing
Hold
else,
on.
just drop it in the chat.
Yeah, no, I will. Here, pop that.
Oh, wait,
I
there
don't
you go.
have access to chat.
Yes, you do.
It's
in the bottom left.
Oh, there it is. I promised not to do this to Greenland. This was in 2019.
Now that's worth stealing, damn it.
Okay, that's funny. That really is. Okay. I can't make it go away, brother. You have to.
Oh, my
no,
fault.
I
Sorry.
can't. Nope, never mind. I can.
Yeah, I was going to
That's
say, you should be able
one
to
of
take me off screen.
That's Meme City Mic Drop if I
Oh,
ever saw one.
Gosh. What, 7 years ago he posted that? I mean,
Yeah,
come
I know.
on, man.
I know.
But I mean,
History is
seriously though, I mean, that's one of the things I've tried to teach people because everybody's like history repeats itself. I was like, no, not really. It does rhyme fairly well though. 'Cause there'll be some interesting corollaries. Kind of like I feel like right now we're kind of watching what happened with the Reagan and the Carter years in reverse, because in a lot of ways it's the same because the world was used to us having a pansy in the Oval Office who didn't know how to do anything, and now like I said last night, we've started the DoorDash for Dipshits program, and everybody's like, "What the hell? What did he just do? He went into another country and snatched." And so
The yoinkening. He yoinked him.
the funny thing about this though is 5 minutes before this happened, even the Democrats were like, he's not the duly elected president of Venezuela. And then as soon as we snatched him, they're like, why did he snatch the president of Venezuela?
They took the president of Venezuela, the one who was duly elected.
Yes, no kings, but send this guy back so he can be a dictator for life. Okay.
And the 3D chess moves down the line with directly affecting China and Russia.
Yes.
Nice.
Right.
Yep.
Uh-oh. Oh, I didn't see this.
What?
Yeah, when did this come out? Oh, that's probably why I hadn't seen it yet. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet or not, but Trump is effectively and officially starting to threaten the tariff countries opposing his effort to control Greenland.
Yes.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
Go ahead, Amy.
I did see earlier that the White House, and of course they're going to say this because it's the White House, but they do think that, like I said last night on your show, the Supreme Court's going to rule in his favor on the tariff thing. So this would indicate to me that was correct, because now he's hitting the gas on this tariff thing, and he's going to tariff the whole world.
Well, and I get it, right? I mean, if you look at it outside of military intervention, it's one of your biggest leverages. And when you turn around and say, I mean, we've funded the entire world for how long now?
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
I laughed that they're talking about a NATO country in Greenland and Denmark, and they're like, oh, well, you know, what happens if you have to neighbor? It's like, okay, we'll just pull the funding. And then you have to, what are you going to do then? You're not going to have anything. I mean, we are NATO.
Yes.
But when you're trying to right the ship, and this is why I think the other reason why they hate Trump so much is they can't process. When you're trying to right the ship and you have to do it in a dramatic fashion, because look how upside down we were. I mean, it's incredible. $34.5 trillion in debt, or 38.5 now, I think. We were taking it to the chin constantly. And he tried to be nice at the beginning. And they didn't want to do it. They pulled back. So he said, okay, fine. We'll do it the hard way. You're not going to disrespect us anymore. And people are losing their shit, because how dare we suddenly stand up for ourselves as a nation? And that's why they hate him.
Well, you could distill it down to two things. Number one, we have historically been reacting to actions. You know, we didn't put us here. Other people placed us in the box. And that's true of Minnesota, Minneapolis, sanctuary cities. And a great deal of all the reactions that are occurring are simply because OMB. That's 70 to 80% of what you're seeing. Did you guys also see that the UK Sun came out with a story today that says NATO plans for fighter jet dogfights over Greenland as Kremlin issues extraordinary statement to oppose Trump takeover?
The Russia aspect on that is the most interesting part to me, because we've heard Russia, Russia, Russia for 10 years now, and all of a sudden it's going to be, we have to listen to Russia, and Russia's the good guy in this. Like, there is not a position against Trump that they won't take, even if it's a complete 180 from what they believed 24 hours ago. So
I'm improving every day.
Yep.
Well,
I am here for it.
Where was their rush to military power when Russia was lining up on the Ukraine? I know everyone said, well, you know, with NATO and blah, blah, blah. I get all of that, but they weren't even trying to flex it. Everybody knew the invasion of Ukraine was coming, and not one damn country in Europe outside of Poland was talking about it.
Yep.
Where they were like, hey, this is a massive problem. And we need to, like, this is going to, and Biden, it's just a military exercise with Belarus and blah, blah. And we're like, no, everybody knows, we've seen this image before. We've seen this show before. And now, like you said, they're rushing to defend Greenland, but rushing all 35 people. And they got them to side with Russia. Well, think about that. It's what he does all the time, right? The things he gets them to defend is amazing.
Yes, I have said this repeatedly. He could come out tomorrow and say, hey, we found a cure for cancer. And they would run to the courts to block it, pull oncologists before TV cameras to say, look, he's making these people unemployed, and stand in front of a microwave to give themselves cancer. I'm not even joking. If you had pregnant women, he said Tylenol might be dangerous for your baby, and you had pregnant women going out saying, I'm going to chug Tylenol to stick it to him, risking the safety and health of not only myself but my child, because Tylenol, if you take too much of it, it will with your liver.
Oh yeah,
and,
no, it's
and
horrible.
If you overdose on Tylenol, you are pretty much fucked. You are going to die.
And they never talk about that.
No, they don't. And
well, I mean, they did for like 5 minutes because there were a couple of TikTokers that overdosed on Tylenol.
Yeah.
Right. And then it was Trump's fault. I saw, and I can't find it again because I was looking for it before the show. The chick who blamed him for giving her menopause.
Yeah. It's the equivalent of the woman who, do you remember years ago, she slicked her hair back with Gorilla Glue and then got mad when she had to go get her surgically fixed. And then she tried to sue Gorilla Glue because they didn't put a warning not to use it for that.
Okay, well, I'm sorry if you're that stupid. You get what you deserve. Who looks at Gorilla Glue and goes, "This might be good for my hair"?
But it goes back to what we were talking about earlier with the it was for a social media influencing thing, right? And well, how we've become a society of 30-second videos. But go ahead, Rick. Sorry.
No, I was going to say I actually found the clip of Trump threatening to tariff people, so I was going to let everybody.
Oh, good.
Put a 25% tariff, which is, by the way, about 7 times more than they would have to pay by raising their drug, like 7 times. This wasn't like a little bit more, 7 times more. And I may do that for Greenland too. I may put a tariff on countries if they don't go along with Greenland, because we need Greenland for national security. So I may do that. I'll give you a little, I'll take you out of that. In fact, that'll end up being the story. But actually, this is a much bigger story because we're reducing healthcare by numbers that you haven't seen.
So I will say this: I honestly have had concerns about the SCOTUS ruling with the tariffs because they keep punting it.
Mm-hmm.
But I also kind of had a little tinfoil hat theory of maybe there's another reason why they've punted it, because they want to arrange security before they make the announcement.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm wondering if my little tinfoil hat theory might not have been right, because for him to still be joking like that with it being up in the air, I think he knows something we don't know.
Well, it's
just when you think you're a conspiracist, ...
Right. No, I said the way that he was talking about the tariffs and everything after I read that report that the White House thinks SCOTUS is going to rule in their favor, I think SCOTUS is going to rule in their favor, which a feather in my cap. I said that last night before all this came out. So really me.
Yeah, I will be honest. We were discussing it after you, because I was on with him with hour 2, and I'm like, I think there'll be some things they'll agree with him on, but I think it's going to be a Solomon splitting the baby kind of thing. But with him, with him openly joking like this, I think I could be wrong. I think
how many heads are going to explode through this nation if SCOTUS comes back with that opinion?
All of them.
Oh, all of them.
All
yeah.
of them.
Well,
again, in perpetuity.
When you're looking at Greenland, you now have to ask the obvious question, because we've seen Trump enough to know this. What is his actual true intention? Is it really what he's saying it is in Greenland, or is he having everybody focus on Greenland while he's working on something else? And I'm probably 85% there that he's serious about it, but you cannot discount the fact that Trump is the best at getting people to run and chomp on a story, and then all of a sudden, I don't know, the Ayatollah is dead in Iran.
Yeah, I'm right there with you about 85% that it's really about Greenland. I do actually think acquiring Greenland would be a good thing, but I also think what else is going on. And actually, I really would hope that it would be the Ayatollah getting killed, because the fact that we're still sitting on that really bothers me.
But see, Trump can operate on so many levels that people are not cognizant of. Everybody here knows that. And it's like all the leftists and the Democrats are saying, no this, no that, no. Okay, then it's the be z if then equation. Okay, if you don't want that, then what do you want? I know, let's just step back and let Russia take Greenland, or let, I don't know, China take Greenland. Russia has a huge presence in the Arctic. So if we do nothing, we just go, bye, see ya.
But it does beg the question, why hasn't Denmark, and I think Amy said this last night on BZ's show, and I agree. I think the ultimate plan is just to get Denmark to give us a deal. I think that's the ultimate goal. I don't think I think you brought up especially the universal health care, maybe that was Rick. I don't think the goal is that we actually acquire Denmark as a territory. I think the goal is that we're allowed to expand our military there and be able to mine resources.
It will be to enfold Greenland and help support them, and not necessarily to take it over, because he operates in the world of hyperbole, as so many people do. But then as he's speaking, he has plan A through H already lined up. And I think the best word that I thought to use for this was to enfold Greenland, not take it over, not buy it, blah, blah, blah. But it is a critical, and the other thing is, up to now, why has no one been talking about the strategic, massive possibilities of Greenland? It took Trump to say, my tent is open. And why did it take Trump to say, this is a massively important issue in our neighborhood?
Well, go ahead, Amy.
No, I think part of it is because he doesn't come at it as a politician. He comes at it as an outsider, and he sees things differently. And a lot of people, and I'm going to say both on the Republican and Democrat side, really don't care about that future of America, that forward thinking of how will this benefit America down the road. It's more of a, what will get me to the next election? What will get me to the next campaign? What will, Nancy Pelosi my stock portfolio and call it a day? Like, he sees things differently.
What will fill my pocket with lucre?
Well, and that's the problem that we've had with politics and how people consume it for a long time. It's always what's happening today, not what's happening 10 years down the line. It's not setting us up in the future. Look, Trump walked through the door and he was talking about Greenland on some level, because if everyone remembers last January, Greenland popped up a little bit.
Yeah.
He knew how things were going to go with Canada. Already knew that Canada was making its decisions even before Carney got in there, which kind of goes to tell you how the world works, where the leaders aren't always the ones who are making the decisions. Right. And he said, all right, we have to have a replacement for our resources in Canada and what we have going on in Canada. And Greenland is the next best option. Between Greenland and Alaska, we now have both sides covered if we can get that deal out. And I think that's what this is all about, a deal. And in the meantime, he gets to enjoy watching the press and the international community go batshit crazy talking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, if we actually purchase Greenland, he needs to change the name to Better Canada.
No, I think Trump Island would be the best thing, just to drive people insane.
Yeah,
But,
Trump would be funny as hell.
Well, speaking of conspiracy theories, who had Fetterman being primaried in 2026 on their bingo card?
I knew that was coming. I wrote about it. Because when he ran, and even suggesting that he might be unfit for office was ableism, and you were discriminating against him. That was the narrative. Now it was last year some point where, hey, this guy doesn't as soon as he started becoming a really vocal supporter of Israel and really outspoken against the Democrats on certain issues, then it was, oh, this guy's not well. This guy is not.
He's unwell.
Right. And I just went, would you people, I will say this, and I will say it on the record. I respect John Fetterman. If I lived in Pennsylvania, I would probably vote for John Fetterman, depending on who the Republican is. And I absolutely will send money to his campaign, because he is the kind of Democrat we need. And the fact that Democrats don't want him anymore tells me how radical the Democratic Party has become.
Yes.
So apparently the Working Families Party was a huge supporter of his in 2022, and he is now failing their litmus tests. So,
well, he'll go in 2028 is when he's up for the election, right? 6 years, because for the Senate.
Yeah. No,
one of the things that was really funny is, and I know I said it on my show, is when Fetterman was running, and he had the health issue with the stroke, my biggest thing was they're pushing a guy that they would need that seat so bad. They're pushing a guy who clearly needs to recover from a stroke and wasn't doing well and wasn't even showing up to debates. They were hiding him on purpose for as long as they can, just because the seat was bigger than Fetterman, and they beat him into it, essentially, is how I feel that it went down. They beat him into staying in that race. I don't think he probably felt like he should have stayed in that race, but they didn't give a shit.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's just funny though, because watching him, because I mean, I used to call him Uncle Festerman, for God's sake. Now I kind of Now I kind of feel bad for making fun of him because at least he's sane among the Democrats. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, we call Trump Orange Man bad. Having a nickname for somebody isn't necessarily the same as destroying their personality. I mean, there are plenty of wacky looking people in Congress, so
yeah,
I don't think that's an issue.
No, and I think they were hoping to Dianne Feinstein him, where he was just somebody else presses the button and they get him to vote the way that they want to. And all of a sudden, oh, hey, dude, we thought was going to have a brain injury actually has a brain. We have, panic time. We need to get rid of him. And it's
the guy with the stroke is weller than anybody else. He's smarter than anybody else.
Yeah.
Well, so he'll go independent. He won't go Republican. He won't go Democrat. If he seeks any further political office, he'll go independent.
I have a theory.
What's that?
Okay. My theory on Fetterman was they kind of ran him almost like a Trump-like figure, where it's like, other than being a mayor, he had no real experience, and he was this loud, outspoken, do things his own way type of Democrat, and he was going to make change. And then he got to DC, and I don't think he really understood what DC was about until he got there. And he saw what's going on behind the door, and then recovering from the stroke, and he had his mental health issue with depression. I think he had kind of this awakening of like, you know what? I'm just going to run. I'm not going to play any of these games. I'm going to come out and call things as I see them, and I don't care what happens, because I think he had that, my time is limited on this earth, and I might as well do good with it type of moment.
He saw his mortality.
Right.
I have another theory.
What's that?
I think the stroke rewired his brain to make it work.
I absolutely think that there is something to that the parts of the brain that were affected by the stroke were the ones that affected reasoning and thinking and that kind of stuff. And yeah, I think also it's when you almost die and you face your mortality, and that was what, 2022, so he would have been 52 when that happened. That's a scary thing. Like it changes the way you see the world, and it changes what your priorities are, and there's a liberation that comes with being able to say, I don't give a fuck what people think. I'm going to say say what I want, do what I want, feel how I want. And go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. I was letting you finish, but I put my hand up because I want to be next.
Oh, no, you're next.
The other thing that I think makes that very obvious that there was some sort of awakening and he's kind of living this own life now is his wife, who was very much in the forefront of all the media at the beginning, has all of a sudden faded into the background. And she's not doing interviews. She's not doing anything. And I think part of the conversation was, I think maybe even she probably saw the change, or they both experienced it together, where things are more important than just being TikTok famous and, blah, 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 blah. So his wife not being in every single picture every more that he's in, that is a huge tell for me too, which, give her credit for knowing to support him in the way that he wanted and needed. I mean, I agree, BZ, she's a little out there, but at least she did the right thing at the right time. I give her credit for that.
Right. On the surface, it appears like she's supporting him and not trying to undermine him. And I do give her credit for that, because that's what you should do as a spouse.
Yeah, and you'd like to think so.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of the Insurrection Act?
He needs to invoke it. I'm done with this. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. No, do it. Because it goes back to what we said with that lady in Jacksonville. The second you set an example for these people, that's when it stops. And Jacob Frey was I saw something just earlier where I predict there'll be peace in the city if ICE leaves. Yeah, because your foot soldiers will go home. That's not the point. You don't get to dictate that, I will bully you and harass you and try to get your agents killed until you give me what I want. That's how a toddler thinks. That's how a child thinks.
That's how the mafia works. Nice place.
Right. There would have been peace in Poland if the Allies just went home.
Pretty much.
Right.
But yeah, I call him Jacob Fry on purpose, because then I can call him one fry short of a Happy Meal.
He is one of the worst mayors in the country.
I wrote an article not too long ago where I equated all of these Democrat leftists, especially, we talked about this cycle of needing a straw man, and then they get right up on their stripper pole and they're shaking their ass on that pole for all of the leftist lunatics, right? Who are the ugly guys in the audience that they're giving lap dances to as long as they pay them and telling them how awesome they are. And then the stripper, when they're done getting their glitter all over the ugly guy, get in the car with their boyfriend and go home.
Right.
That's exactly what they're doing right now.
But see, you've got Republicans now who are saying, if you invoke the Insurrection Act, we're going to impeach. It's like, do you not know anything about history? And do you not know that essentially the Insurrection Act enforces the law? If you invoke martial law, that replaces the law.
Yes.
And a clear distinction and difference between the two. If you go back in history and all the people, the Insurrection Act has never been enacted before.
Yes, it has
Woodrow
been.
Wilson, Herbert Hoover, Franklin, FDR, all Democrats, Dwight Eisenhower, Lyndon Johnson, Democrat, Ronald Reagan, and George Bush, essentially.
So did JFK, and this is why Republicans lose, and that's why
that got them.
Right. Seriously, right. That's why Republicans lose this. Well, we're going to impeach you if you. Why do you think that this is acceptable? What's happening in Minneapolis? They're stopping private citizens to make them prove they're not DHS. They're attacking DHS. They're trying to break into facilities. They're stealing weapons and equipment from ICE. If that isn't the definition of an insurrection, what is? And whatever Republicans say that he needs to be impeached for that, they should be primaried and kicked out of office because they are useless. They are more than useless.
Well, and look, let's be honest. What we're seeing right now in this country with the anti-ICE rhetoric, but it's the same Antifa black shirts that we saw pop up through all these years. You see them outside of all the facilities. Portland's another big one. Seattle has a whole group of them. The Summer of Love, even back to BLM, because we all know that the money all comes from the same place. This is a paid insurgency.
I saw a Black Panther on camera yesterday talking like they used to talk back in the 60s. If an ICE motherfucker comes at me, I'm gonna put a bullet hole the size of a house in his chest. You dig? I'm like, holy shit, dude. Do you think it's the 60s? What the hell?
Right. Yeah, but I want to go drinking with that guy for a few hours. Just because if you're gonna say that sober on camera, imagine what happens with that dude behind the scenes.
Right.
It's action, reaction. Are we going to cork off?
Right.
The action has to occur first. We will react.
Yeah, I think I got distracted by shiny things because that was actually the point I was trying to make at the beginning of the show. I'm really disappointed with Trump because after everything with the Summer of Love, I really thought, especially after I'm gonna get in trouble for this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. The Lick-a-Lotta-Puss and the Honda Pilot tried to run the ICE agent over. I really thought the Insurrection Act was gonna just be, that's it. That's a bridge too far. Let's just get people in here and get this fixed. And then he didn't. And then that same night, they declared an autonomous zone. And I'm like, okay, that's your in, because an autonomous zone means, hey, that's not American territory anymore.
Right.
So now I can actually send full military in.
Right.
And again, it's the winter time. Send them in with water cannons. All these motherfuckers will go home.
Yes, because it is freaking cold up in this part of the country.
Why do the Europeans get to have the coolest damn huge truck water cannons and we can't get any?
Right.
So
that's wrong.
A couple things about that, though. You'll notice that autonomous zone quickly fell off from the news, and I don't even know if it's still standing anymore, because the left and the media realized how shitty that looked with Chaz and Chop and all the murders and deaths that were inside of there. Which
it still stands. That's where they're stopping people to check to make sure they're not.
But they're not getting any press for it, right?
No,
they're intentionally hiding that. And the other thing is, I understand what you're saying, Rick. Why didn't it happen sooner? But you go back to Trump's mind and you go back to how it works, and a lot of times he waits for them to have enough rope to hang themselves, just so everybody can see what a shit show it is. Think about, again, immigration was the biggest topic going into this last election. It's one of the things that got him hired, is that he was going to do mass deportations. So the majority of the country is behind him on this, or at least was. And now he's showing them what we're doing, and he's showing the reaction of the Democrats letting this all happen, because guess what? When it comes to run for the midterms and it comes to run in 28, you now have all these videos of these people who are defending all these ICE attacks and resisting ICE. So, yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying too, but we were talking about Trump in the long game and how he's always thinking a couple steps down the line. There's a reason why things might be allowed to transpire for a bit.
Yeah, but here's my thing though. And then BZ, I can hear you trying to pipe up, so I'll let you go next. My thing is, because everybody's talking about this, almost nobody's talking about the fraud anymore. That's where I want the spotlights focused right now, because that's the whole reason that Walz and Fry are letting this shit pop off still.
Yes.
Because everybody's being distracted from the fact that
absolutely.
There was a story that just came out that like $700 million was shipped back to Somalia on a fucking airplane.
Right. No, I agree with you that it's taking away from the fraud thing, but what it's also doing is it's taken away from the investigators of the fraud too, so they're not being impeded.
Well, Walz and Fry are saying essentially that this is so out of control, we can't stop it, meaning the protesters. Meanwhile, back in Florida, DeSantis has said, with one person, you try this crap again and you're going to find yourself under the jail. This is a distraction, again, as you indicate quite succinctly, that it's a distraction with what's going on, not just in Minnesota, but with Democrats and NGOs. Don't start me on religion and NGOs. All throughout the United States. We just uncovered the first spadeful in Minnesota, but it's all over the states.
Right.
It's so embedded. It's like, people say, okay, Bondi's got to be out. DOJ's got to be out. How come we're not seeing any arrests? To be honest, I think the DOJ is so fucking overwhelmed. They almost don't know where to start. Well, we expect them to do much better than that. I don't think any aspect of DOJ has ever seen anything as huge and massive and tsunami-like as this.
Well, the other thing is DOJ is actually doing a lot. I mean, look at all the kids they've found. Look at all the people that are actually being arrested and processed for all the things that the Biden administration was letting go. I don't think they're focusing on the big tickets yet, because to me, I think the big tickets are easier.
Well, I kind of disagree with you. I think they're focusing on the big tickets, but I think they're also making sure that there's absolutely no mistakes in their cases.
There's so much more to go.
I mean, but you look at PZ, and you know this as well. If you've ever done any investigation legally on a fraud case that has to get presented in court, the amount of effort and work you have to go through to make sure, because as soon as you start worrying about the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine, right? You make that one mistake and you get your cases thrown out, you're now going to look like a fool and you're losing everything. Add that in with the amount of activist judges that we've seen that some of these cases might fall in front of them. You have to be even tighter with what you present. So it's going to take you even longer to present it and to prepare it. So
I hated, I despise fraud and financial crime and FinCEN cases, because they're so potentially convoluted and there's so many ways they can go. My God, just stop the torture. Stop it.
Well, and you can also, one thing about fraud is you can prove that there was massive fraud, but tying it to the person that actually committed it is entirely different animal.
It's a snake. It's an octopus.
And you know what's funny, BZ? My old man did fraud for years as a detective, and he loved it.
God bless him for that.
I think he was batshit crazy. I would say that to his face, but he loved it.
There's a lid for every pot. So,
hey, BZ, Fox News is a data whore. So if you want to mention what you just said to me, you can. But I just tried to put it on the screen and it made Sean talk like a robot. So I'm not going to do that.
What was that?
That was Amy.
Was it Amy? I couldn't tell who sent it, but somebody sent me a clip from Fox, or an article from Fox News. That website is a data whore.
Yeah, that was me. The Ayatollah has basically said that he is calling for the execution of detained protesters. Now, after Trump had said they weren't going to hang anybody. So I think that's an escalation there. I mean, the reports are they're already going around to the hospitals and shooting the wounded, and something like at least 12,000 were killed, and that was earlier this week, so that number has probably gone up. Something needs to get
that. And Trump said he wouldn't go in because they agreed not to assassinate people like that. And now if you remove that from the board, and Israel, I think, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, Israel has also said something similar to, okay, before you do this, give us some time. Okay, we need some time.
Well, yeah, it wasn't just that, because he actually decided to table his whatever he had planned after he got off the phone with Netanyahu. So I think maybe Israel has a plan because I mean they're closer anyway, so maybe I'm hoping maybe they're doing something. But
Well,
I mean,
and I'm sure they have a plan, but you have to remember too is when it comes to bunkers and all that stuff, Israel does not have the capability to bomb bunkers, and they can drop bombs on top, but they don't have the penetrating armament that America has. So it may be a matter of we're waiting, or both sides are kind of setting up, trying to get both things in motion at the same time. Because remember, as much as we had troops, I mean, we had planes and bombers going in, fighters and bombers going in. Israel paved the path when we did the new strikes. They went in and did a lot of the radar work. They'd already done a bunch of it anyhow, but they were the ones who had the better anti-radar setup. So it could be a possibility that we're just waiting for the right things to align. And I haven't checked the weather over there. I've been checking flight radar to see if they clear the airspaces. I don't know what the weather is in Tehran because that's a big one too.
Because nothing says good morning like a couple of well-placed blue 82s.
Well, and you got to think too. Like you look at what was the operation with Reagan and Gaddafi, right? Where it's the message senders and operation. What was it? El Dorado Canyon, was it? And
yeah, I think that was it.
So I don't think that the goal is to just hope for the best. I think there's a plan in action, but you have to wait for everything to line up. BZ said Israel's most likely in there. Mossad's been in there forever. And, you know, the other thing too is if they can't fly in equipment for the resistance, they have to get it in by road, and that takes a few days, especially when you're using back trails. So I think that something is still coming for that. It's, you know, I agree. I wish they did it 4 days ago, 5 days. I wish they did it on the December 29th. I mean, the Ayatollah, that regime going away, no matter who replaces it, is going to be better. I know the Saudis and the UAE, and we could be working with one of them as well. They've already getting their nose in. Plus, you have to have a plan. If you remove the Ayatollah, you can't do what happened in Libya. You can't just kill this one guy and hope for the best. You have to have a plan to help stabilize, and you need a leader. Everyone talks about the Shah's kid coming in, the crown prince, and maybe and there's a possibility that the people in Iran don't want a Shah. They want something a little bit different. So you have so many things rolling, and if they're holding off because they don't want to just bomb the tits out of them and then just have it be a free-for-all in there like it was in Libya, it makes sense. As much as emotionally I think those of us want it done like ASAP because we know it's at risk, logically there may be more time needed in order to make sure that it's done properly.
But Sean, as you pointed out, the things that I would like to highlight, which you had done previously, is all of our recent operations with the U.S. military have been surgical and precise, like no other nation has seen before in the history of history. It really is astounding. You know, 2 hours to remove a despot. Hello, shake hands. You're coming with us, and then done.
Right.
Well,
they went into Venezuela and removed the president quicker than I've had an MRI done.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. And a lot quieter.
Crazy.
Right. It is insane.
That's where I got the idea for calling it, you know, DoorDash for dumbass despots, because there was an AI piece that somebody put out, and it was Maduro laying in bed, and he wakes up, and the special forces guys are standing there, and they're like, look at that, quicker than DoorDash.
So somebody called it the yoinkening, and that's what I've been referring it to as ever since, is that they just yoinked him right out of there, and I can't let that one ever go.
I'm stealing that one too. That's fantastic. The yoinkening.
Oh, but yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing, right? If we can do that there, why are we letting our own people be assholes here?
Thank you.
I understand that, and like I said, I think there's depth to that far more than what we know.
I mean, I want to believe you, but my problem is that's what we thought in 2020. We kept saying at some point he's going to pull the trigger, this stuff's going to go away, and then it wound up being what they were able to use to excuse the fact that they stole the election.
Right.
Yeah, but
And
we've also seen that he's learned a lot from 2020, and he's a very, very different on how he operates this time around. So
but I'm wondering if this is one of those blind spots again, because
it could be.
Right.
I'm really
It could be.
confused. I'm really confused as to why we haven't done something about this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, in the summertime, it would have been Summer of Love would have made it a lot harder, because even in Minnesota, you can't just go in with water cannons and start just randomly soaking everybody that lines up.
Right.
But you can now. I mean, even if they start lining up again, just hit them with the you're coming back today. Cool. Here's some more water, bitch.
Right.
Come on.
We're fighting ourselves. We're needlessly fighting ourselves. If there's one guy recently that I have really come to respect, and I'm guessing the rest of you here too, is Tim Burchett. Tim Burchett has been consistently saying, holy crap, why are we shooting ourselves in the foot with intent? I don't get any of this.
Right.
If there ever were a spokesman of the obvious, it's Tim Burchett.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all I'm saying is if we can go to another country and commit the yoinkening, as Sean likes to say, we can easily grab a governor and a mayor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying.
Just saying. Just saying.
I'm
You lay
saying.
out some of that Somali food. Jacob Frey will show up. Frey, whatever his name is, will show up like a stray cat. Like
just put a casket in front of him and tell him that the person inside held a gun to a pregnant woman's stomach, and he'll show right up to kneel and cry for it.
And cry. Yep.
I loved the grimace on his face when he was eating.
Oh God, he wasn't. But and if you pay attention to that video, he was chewing and chewing and chewing because he didn't want to swallow, because whatever he was eating was so repulsive to him, he couldn't bring himself to swallow.
His tongue was going, more saliva, please.
Get the cameras off of me. Get the cameras off of me.
And to tell you how much this is for graphics for the left and how it's all just an act, the Minneapolis police chief, who is just horrible, absolutely just terrible. But you're even seeing in the photos, and when
Even
Frey's
he
talking,
rolled his eyes.
he's starting to get to the point where he's wondering what if he hooked up to the wrong horse. But you all of a sudden see him and BZ will know this. Those police leather jackets that you get that he's all of a sudden been wearing the last 4 or 5 days, which is weird because he hadn't worn one at all, and now in every video he's wearing one. He had to order that and get it recently because it is pristine. It is not like it was his old patrol coat that he's proud of. He got that for optics. And I was laughing because I'm like, that's like the whole, let me put on this tough guy leather jacket. Let me just really produce this image that I'm in charge and da-da-da-da-da. But I'm also one of the guys, because this is what the guys on the street wear.
Right.
But it's completely flawless, and I'm like, dude, go throw that against the ground, go drag it under a car, like
make it
look like you're a cop, because right now you're not.
You look like a poser. And I had read something.
He's wearing Gene Simmons tight leather pants at home. Guaranteed.
Probably. No, I had read something that like several dozen Minneapolis cops have applied for the next great fraud program, the paid leave. And something like 150 are up for retirement. There's going to be nobody left. It's going to be like him and some Somali cop they hired off the street running that whole city pretty soon.
And there's a lot of reports that guys are just leaving, and there's also a lot of reports of how many of them have applied to the federal government for ICE and other places.
Oh, right. But Charles Blow will be the hardest hit. I wrote something about that today. He was on CNN, and the ICE is using Nazi language and Nazi propaganda and a picture of George Washington to recruit people. And he was so offended by this, he had to look up what they had said on this Washington poster on his phone. He said they had a picture of Washington at that Nazi rally at Madison Square Garden in 1934. And the guy who spoke said, oh, George Washington would be aligned with Adolf Hitler if Washington were alive today. I'm like, what orifice are you pulling this out of? Because this is absolutely ridiculous.
You know it's bad when they're back to, remember the Hitler talk went away for a little bit because it killed them in the last election, and they knew it, so it went away. And now they have to bring it back because they're flailing. Look, USAID, we all know that money was being funded back to Democrats. That's already been like 100%. There's a lot of talk that money from Venezuela, because even Tim Burchett put that out, was heading to Democrats, and now that may be interrupted. And now the fraud money, there was the phone call with Ellison saying, don't worry, I'll protect you guys. And then the next day he got a shitload of money donated to him. That would have been fraud money. We all know that.
The pushback is legion because these people are starting to bleed on every level. There isn't one aspect of government that isn't corrupt with fraud and grift and scams, and everyone is a wounded Wolverine, and that's why you're seeing them fight back with blood and teeth, because everything now is on the line.
Well, and
right. And there's something else on the line now. I had just read that Minnesota has Trump has deported so many people from Minnesota. They're losing a congressional seat.
Yes.
That's why they are so against this, because they are losing a congressional seat. And you know what? I'm here for it. I am so here for it. It's not even funny.
I love it.
But the opportunities are also, we have to be careful on another level, because when you drain Minneapolis, in terms of regionalities, when you drain Minneapolis, then that's a perfect op for, Dearborn cops, Hamtramck cops. Who did they fill all those with? More muzzies.
Yep.
Well, I mean, they should have. Well, any ones that are left, anyways.
Right.
Because that number is going to change relatively soon. Rick, yeah, right.
No, I'm here. I was dealing with some gremlins. But. And there was another point I was going to bring up, and then I lost it because I was trying to keep the feed alive.
But the exposure is huge. The exposure here is absolutely huge, unprecedented on a scale. And I go back to 2016. Can you imagine what we would not know and be entirely unaware of had Hillary Clinton, as she said, I was deemed, it was my time, I was due the presidency, all the I can't even put this into words, how large, I think Besant or somebody else said, when you look at it in a certain fashion, all of this corruption and grift would essentially account for up to 5 to 6 to 7% of our GDP.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And a significant portion of our debt is because of this. California, we have to raise, steal 5% of billionaires' assets, not their income, their assets, to pay for this, while we piss away all this money for fraud.
But so going back to what would have happened if Hillary won in 2016, I would like to point out that imagine how much worse the Trump is a Russian stooge narrative would have played if she would have been the one in charge of the information.
Oh God, he'd be in prison.
Well, I submit to you that what this was, and I've said this repeatedly, that if she had won, their plan was to repeat something akin to Johnson getting the Civil Rights Act passed. Because he was actually quoted behind closed doors as saying that if we can get this thing passed, these dumb niggers are going to vote for us for at least another year.
That's an accurate quote, because a black butler who had the temerity to remember that after having overheard it, repeated it. And you can't find anything on the internet with veracity with regard to that quote, but it's true, because I was around when Johnson was around. I walked the streets for fucking Humphrey. That's how stupid I was.
Well, you know what they say. If you're young and you're a liberal, you have no heart. If you're old and you're a liberal, you have no brain.
That's true.
But no, I mean, seriously, think about this. They would have tried that entire family for treason, and they would have either been in prison or lined up and shot, and nobody would. The whole Republican Party would have disbanded and gone away.
Yep, absolutely. It would have been a disaster. And the fact, not only did it save the country, but the fact that she'll never, Hillary Clinton is never going to go to jail. She's never going to see justice in a criminal court. But the fact that she lost the presidency and will never be the president, and she lost to Donald Trump, will always warm the cockles of my heart, because that bitch deserved it. And it's almost better justice than her going to prison, quite frankly.
Everybody here, that like Steve Bannon, and I can't even think of the name of the other guy.
Roger Stone.
No, the guy that was tried and found guilty of contempt. That Hillary and Bill will not be
No,
No.
nothing's going to happen with that.
No, but
you can be assured.
justice comes in other ways. So.
Well, I was going to say one of the reasons I'm glad she's not in jail is because every year I can find that happy birthday to the next president of the United States
I
tweet
can't
and put
believe
it right
she
in her
hasn't deleted that. Honest to goodness, I don't know if she's that stupid or that
I
arrogant, but
I
I
have
can't
it
believe
saved
she
in case she ever does.
can't delete that.
I have it saved in case she ever does.
Okay,
because
good. I should go take a screenshot of that too. But as fun as this is, gentlemen, I do have to bounce because I have that appointment, which means I can finally have something to eat.
Okay, before you bail, favorite story of the week.
My favorite story of the week, we're going to go to Germany, and Trump was right. The German chancellor said today that getting rid of the country's nuclear program, nuclear power, was a bad idea. And 2018, Trump went to the UN and said Germany's going to regret rolling back their energy independence, and they laughed at him. And now they're not laughing. And a couple of weeks ago, parts of Berlin were in a complete blackout because Antifa terrorists messed with the infrastructure, and it was so bad it was going to take them weeks in winter to get this back online. So Trump was right. Germany was wrong. Maybe there's a lesson to be learned there.
Now Germany's playing the FAFO game. Nice.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
They fucked around and they found out.
Yep. You think they would have learned after World War II, but apparently not.
All right. Angela Merkel killed Europe.
Yeah. That's why women shouldn't be in positions of power. But on that bombshell,
holy,
and then she's gonna go.
And then I'm gonna go.
She's gonna go.
I say that as a woman because there'll be world peace if, bitch, we fight about fucking shoes. So like that there'll be world peace if women run everything. I went to an all-girls college.
Dude, as Amy is leaving, the entire plot of The Wizard of Oz was actually two bitches fighting over shoes.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Thank you. That's exactly what it was. But no, it was awesome. I had a great time. Like we said at the beginning, my book is on Amazon. Gaslight. Just search Gaslight and Amy Curtis, and it'll pop up.
They can just search Amy Curtis. It pulls right up anyway.
Oh, awesome! It pulls right up down with that. Awesome.
Yep.
All right. Well, you guys take it easy, and I will see you next week. All right.
All right.
Take care.
God bless.
Bye.
All right. Anybody else got any final thoughts? Because we are a little bit over, and I have other things I need to be doing too. So.
Okay, one final thing that I want to bring to the attention that nobody's paying any attention to. Interior Secretary Doug Burgum said out loud, "Hey, you know what? Greenland and Venezuela are in fact strategic priorities for defense and energy." Stating the obvious, but still stated it.
Yeah. No. I mean, and it's true. I mean, especially with China feeling froggy, Russia feeling froggy. And everybody jokes about the fact that Europe sent 35 troops. I'm going to say it again. They basically raised the population of Greenland by 2/3.
True.
Just saying. Not really, but tongue in cheek. Anyway, BZ, favorite story that you have covered so far this week?
Actually, that was it. The one where Doug Burgum came out and said the obvious. We could go. Excuse me. We could go to Minnesota and whatnot, but I kind of like the obscure and the obvious.
Nice. I just like the fact that you just said Doug Burgum came out.
He did. He did. I'm not sure from which door, but yes.
Well, I guess that makes two because he and Besant both have now. What?
No, I was laughing. Oh, all right, Sean. What about you? Any final thoughts?
Well, look, I had a couple of them, but I covered a story today that I wanted to talk about, which is the New York Times intentionally using a misleading photo to try to prove that the White House narrative and the shooting in Minnesota is gone.
That's the one with the wrong car.
Nicholas Kristof, said, we did a millisecond by millisecond breakdown of this, and we can show that the officer was never hit. They hit it behind a subscribe wall, which is just to farm, because like I said earlier, they're dying, and it's just to farm subscribers to their website, because the picture that they used hides the red Honda behind a silver Chevrolet, and it makes it look like the silver Chevrolet was her vehicle, and there's all this space between the silver Chevrolet and the officer. And it just goes to show you that you don't hate mainstream media.
No, you do not hate the American media maggots sufficiently.
It's just absolutely insane. And the amount of people, and my whole point was, we were talking about this before, and I actually have an article that I started 2 weeks ago. I got to finish on this. Is we've become a society where nobody reads into anything anymore. They just take it at face value and move on. And that's exactly what's happening with this picture. People are defending it. People are defending the New York Times. They're defending, and a lot of them to me, because I said something in the article, talking about how they would never do that. And I put in my article all the time, so the New York Times are caught lying. And it's just ridiculous to see all of this quote unquote mainstream media glomming for attention because they're dying. And this is the only way to be rage bait, and is the only way that they get attention now.
Well, the rage bait is all they have.
Yep. So that was it.
That was it. All right. Well, I think, I mean, I haven't really been covering much today or this week. I will say the favorite episode that I've put out, which I feel bad because I'm about to plug it and I haven't put it up for the archives yet. I did a deep dive on the whole Iran thing and went all the way back to how this all started in the 50s and how everybody screaming and yelling about how we need to stay out of it seems to forget that all the shit that's happening there now is our fault. And,
Yeah.
I said this with BZ last night. My dad taught me a couple of lessons when it came to things like this. Always clean up your messes, and you better not ever start a fight, but you better be the one to finish it.
Agreed.
And we have to remember, we got rid of their duly elected prime minister in the 50s.
Mhm. With the Sharon.
And everything that happened after that was pretty much on us. So I don't necessarily have an issue with us going in and taking care of the problem since we created it. Maybe I'm
Well,
just being
and even if you put that aside, I agree with you, by the way, and I'm not saying you're wrong, but even if you put all of that aside, what it does to shore up the entire region and potential investment that we would have to make in the future and money that we would have to spend in order to, because people forget, well, the Democrats know this, which is why all of a sudden they're rallying around Hamas and they're not talking about the Iran thing nearly as much as they would if it was at Canada or anywhere else, is the amount of terrorism and funding for leftist Antifa groups and stuff like that that come out of Tehran is insane. And it's all made on oil, dirty oil that they're not supposed to be selling, but they are, to Russia, China, and North Korea, and Turkey and India.
Yeah, I don't know. It's all just such a mess, and I really wish, because I mean, I am one of these people. I don't think we should be the world's police force. There was a time that we kind of put that burden on our own shoulders.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
while we had that burden on our own shoulders was also the same time that we decided we were gonna do what we did in Iran that led to everything that we're talking about right now. And I think it's time that somebody, namely us, goes in and fixes it, because BZ and I talked about this last night. Until 1978, these people were Persians. They were a westernized culture. Their women were walking around in skirts and high heels and everything else, and they had pristine buildings and all these different things. And now it's a fucking war zone. And I'm just like, we're the reason it wound up this way. How can you say it's not our responsibility to fix it when we broke it? I just don't understand that.
Well, because I don't disagree with you.
Anyway, I think that's gonna about do it for this one, because I have to go babysit my granddaughter because my daughter just left. So my son is watching my grandchild right now, and he doesn't
Go save her.
So anyway, I want to thank everybody for taking the time to hang out with us today. I know today's been weird on X and everything else in between. So thank you for the couple hundred that showed up. Want to thank everybody on the panel. We'll be back next week, and I'll be back tonight with He Said, She Said. That's the other thing I got to do, is figure out if me and Aggie can decide what we're going to talk about tonight, because we don't like to talk politics on that show. Bye, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.
And actually, real quick, where can folks find the both of you? They know where to find me by now.
Okay, BZ.
I'm BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Central, and 11 p.m. Eastern. And again, Rick, thanks for inviting.
You are very welcome. And Sean, where can folks find you? Not that they ever look for you, because you're
Not ever. I write shrmedia.com, and for the Loftus Party as well. You can find me on my show, The Edge of Liberty, every Monday and Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast on the SHR Media Network outlets and KLRN Radio. And you can find me on X, the number 2 Against Tyranny.
Well, I will say this. You can find him on The Edge of Liberty on every Monday and Wednesday night when he's not going, "It's me, Mario."
Yeah, that was a nightmare. Thank you, Rick.
Enjoy the rest of your Friday.